Now we have word of an encouraging trend. Lexington has seen a significant drop in deadly crashes so far this year. According to data from state police, the number of people killed on the roads has gone down about 50%.
So what's behind the change? Tonight, WKYT's Samantha Valentino is finding out.
2023 was Lexington's deadliest year on the roads in more than a decade. 52 people were killed in 52 crashes.
What we always try to get to is 0 fatalities, but we're definitely trending closer to that than we were a year ago.
At this point last year, KSP reports there had been 33 fatal crashes in which 33 people were killed. So far this year, that data shows there's been 16 fatal crashes in which 19 people were killed.
So the good news is that we're doing some things right. We're reducing that number now.
Lori Weaver-Hawkins with AAA says we're seeing less fatal crashes due to distracted or inattentive driving. Seatbelt usage is also up. The NHTSA says buckling up can reduce your risk of death by 45%.
The first thing we always tell people, buckle up every time, no matter where you're going, every person in the vehicle.
The data shows Lexington drivers are still struggling with other bad driving behaviors, such as drunk driving, speeding, and driving too fast for conditions.
When we have weather conditions, whether it's from rain, a lot of times it's not just the wet pavement, the glare of headlights that can be impactful, and so you want to reduce your speed accordingly.
Weaver-Hawkins says drivers should make sure to obey traffic laws and signals at all times. Not rolling through a stop sign or racing to beat a red light could be the difference in getting into a deadly crash. In Lexington, Samantha Valentino, WKYT.
Starting next week, Lexington will be participating in a pilot program aimed at reducing wrong-way crashes. It is a 3-month program running in Fayette and Jefferson counties. Wrong-way detection and monitoring technology will be installed at 5 highway ramps across Lexington. From now until midnight tomorrow, exit 99 on I-75 northbound will be closed for installation. Drivers can use exit 95 and 104 instead.